First of all, listen, it's interesting about all these young guys today. They never call on us and say, hey, thanks for the kind word and tell me how great a player I am. But when they play like crap and we call them out, we don't know what we're talking about. Listen, I'm easy to find, but I get sick of these guys complaining. These young guys, they never call us and say, when a coach is wrong, I'm going to call him out. But when players are wrong, I'm going to call them out. But listen, I'm going to criticize guys if they deserve it. And listen, they can kiss my ass if they don't like it.
Yo, what's up, YouTube? It's Nathan back with another video presentation. Hope y'all's Turkey Day, y'all's Thanksgiving was nice. Hope everyone enjoyed themselves. This is episode 18 of the podcast. What's good? What's going on? If you're not already, consider hitting that like button. Also consider hitting that subscribe button along with notification bells on. As I said, it's episode 18 of the podcast. I've gotten some requests. Season 5 will start probably sometime in December. It's going to be a new intro. Guys, I know some people are getting tired of the Charles Barkley intro. We're kind of like 5 seasons into the podcast. We're going to be going into 5 seasons, so it is time to kind of change it up a little bit. So, in this episode, before we get into this, few things I need to say up front. Episode 17 went up on Spotify via Anchor. I'm sorry, 15 and 16. I'm sorry, 17 not up yet. I was supposed to go live Friday, but I was a little tired, so I do apologize. In this video, I'm recapping the NFL Thanksgiving. Not sure about that. Not sure about that. But thank you for the compliment. I appreciate that. Recapping NFL Thanksgiving. Ravens and the Browns play tomorrow. Washington football team plays the Seahawks Monday night. The Washington Wizards are on a 2-game win streak. They beat Dallas tonight and OKC the other night, and then lost to the New Orleans Pelicans. And then some things around the NBA, Major League Baseball free agencies kind of up and going. And then Maryland got some things to talk about with Maryland football, basketball, and obviously, and that'll be the episode for today. So, tonight, excuse me. So, to recap Thanksgiving, the first game, we had to be subjected to the Detroit Lions versus the Chicago Bears. And the final score was the Chicago Bears 16, Detroit Lions 14.
I'm not going to even sit here and act like I didn't know this was coming. Or act like I know this was coming because I did it.
Matt Nagy's job will remain safe, in my personal opinion. The Lions are the Lions. They had an opportunity to win this game, and they blew it, particularly with the lead. The Lions, as a cohesive unit, had 10 penalties. That was pretty telling about disciplining and coaching. And then to make matters worse, they had 3 consecutive penalties. That was bad. When you have, I know in the post game conference, Dan Campbell said something like along the lines of a 2nd and 25 or a 2nd and 32. Your playbook changes. The honeymoon phase for the Detroit Lions and Matt Campbell is a wrap. Honestly and truthfully, it makes no sense. The decision making, I question that, particularly where they had his clock management was horribly bad. We had all 3 timeouts, and I thought the game was over when Aaron Glenn when they miscommunicated what type of defense to run, he calls a timeout. I thought that was the game right there, in my personal opinion. But Andy Dalton and the Chicago Bears did what they had to do. Dalton I think he threw for like 24, 39, threw for over 300 yards. Jared Goff had 2 touchdowns. Just the Lions suck. Plain and simple. I don't think they will be. I think they're going to finish 16-1. I think they're going to have the number 1 overall pick in next year's draft.
Guaranteed.
There's just nothing to build off in Detroit at all. I think Jared Goff is a good quarterback. T.J. Hawkinson's a good tight end. I like DeAndre Swift. He got hurt, and then Jamal Williams stepped in there. Trey Flowers is a good defensive tackle. They got some pieces, but there's no identity. There's nothing to build really off on, or there's just no. I don't see it. And they're going to have to figure that out. Next game, the Dallas Cowboys versus the Oakland Raiders.
I'm not going to even sit here and act like I didn't know this was coming. Or act like I know this was coming because I did it.
Relationship with your
Oh
children.
my God.
How about them Cowboys, man? Well, actually, listen, in all seriousness, this was actually a really good football game. I enjoyed watching it. I think this was a much-needed win for the Raiders. I apologize to Las Vegas Raiders. I'm going to get used to saying that. Please forgive me. The Cowboys, a couple things I've noticed. Going into this game, I was a little concerned with Oakland, particularly with all the things that's been going off the field, with Gruden and his emails, Henry Ruggs and the DUI, and then the cornerback making death threats on social media. You just don't know where a team's at as a unit, where they're at mentally. And coming into this game, first and foremost, fun fact, I didn't know that this was their sixth overtime game at Oakland. And then the third for Dallas, and then Dallas is 0-3 if a game goes into overtime on Thanksgiving. That was interesting. Dallas had 4 comebacks on Thanksgiving. Ironically, the last team when they faced was in 2013 against who? At the time, the Oakland Raiders. Fun fact, didn't know that. Defensively, Dallas made a lot of mistakes. I'll talk about the defense in a minute. I thought, I could see without Amari Cooper that was going to hurt. But Dak, Dalton Schultz, Ezekiel Elliott, I got to give Frederick Wilson some love. Michael Gallup, they all stepped up pretty well in this game, in my personal opinion. But the biggest thing I took away from it was Dallas's defense. They just did not get enough stops. You can't win football games if you're going to allow, as a defensive unit, 30 or more points. That just can't happen. And then on top of that, Dallas had recorded 14 penalties, and then the mostly defensive pass interference, and then unfortunately the call that really cost him the game with the Anthony Brown pass interference call. He had four pass interference calls just on himself. Now I will say that some of the calls were questionable. Yes, I will grant you that. Were questionable calls. But Oakland, when it counted, Las Vegas, excuse me, when it counted, you got to give Derek Carr that offense some love. You know, he didn't have Darren Waller. Obviously, he had a knee injury, and then I think he had like a shoulder injury too. Hunter Renfrow, Deshaun Jackson, they combined for well over like 200-something yards together. And then Zay Jones had a couple of plays in there. I just think the game plan for Las Vegas offensively worked really well. Derek Carr threw for over 350 yards. Only had a touchdown, which is ironic. He didn't turn the ball over, but this was. Hey Michelle, good to see you. Hey Lucinda, good to see you. This game was another example of why I'm not sold on Dallas as a legitimate contender. They've got to be better. They've got to be better as a unit. And I think Dallas plays. Let me look at their schedule. I think they play New Orleans. They play the Saints on the 2nd, which goes into the next and final. Happy holidays to you too. Appreciate it. Thank you. Of the Thanksgiving weekend, the Buffalo Bills defeated the New Orleans Saints.
Relationship with your
Oh
children.
my God.
The New Orleans Saints now have lost their fourth straight. They're now under 500 for as long as I can remember. They've always been well over 500. Offensively, the Saints were stale. They looked lost, lackadaisical. Any other adjective you want to put in there? I'm at a loss for words. I don't really know what to really feel. Yeah, it was that. I just don't know how to really express. Like 31-6. I mean, that felt more like a 40-point loss to me. The Buffalo Bills got their swagger back offensively. Now they lost Tre'Davious White for the whole season. He tore his ACL, but without Alvin Kamara, they don't have New Orleans. When I look at the Saints offensively, without Kamara, Michael Thomas, they don't have an identity on offense. They truly don't. And Trevor Siemian, I look at him as like a game manager. I mean, they had I forgot the running back's name, but he held his own. I mean, offense. Like when I look at that offense, there was a couple possessions, like for example, where they went for it a couple of times it was like a 4th and 1 on their own 30. And then on top of that, it had to be a miscommunication, or Traquan Smith didn't finish his route, and then they turned the ball over on downs. There's another. There was a 4th and 2. They backfired. Where they gave it off to I want to say his name was Jones Jr. That was a fail. Like, just stale. This looks really just look stale. And they just gave Taysom Hill a new contract. Jameis Winston probably will. I don't know when he's going to come back off injury. They don't have and then Kamara is out. They just don't. I don't know what their identity is on offense. I think the defense tried to hold its own, but Josh Allen in the Buffalo Bills, and I got to give Josh Allen some respect. I've been critical. I've been hard on him because again how the media loves to criticize Lamar Jackson, but that's a whole other story for another video. They were coming out with a vengeance after getting shellacked by Indianapolis. So the New Orleans Saints, Sean Payton, I think they're going to get together. Because I wouldn't be surprised if the Saints beat the Dallas Cowboys. It would not faze me. But that was Thanksgiving football. I'd say we really got to get the Lions off football and put another football team there. How the Lions are on Thanksgiving makes no sense. All right. This is Sunday Night Football. We play those Cleveland Brownies. Couple things. We're coming off a win that, for the most part, was shocking. Did not see that coming. And without Lamar Jackson, okay? The last time we saw the Cleveland Brownies, we saw them last December, where we had an epic Monday Night Football game. The final score was 47-42. That's the game where Lamar Jackson had cramps and everybody made a meme thinking he had to go take a dump. That game. So he's never going to hear the end of that. Lamar Jackson didn't have COVID, didn't have influenza. I just think from what I understand, he just had a really bad cold. Especially when you're playing in like warm climate like Florida, and then he had his jersey retired at Louisville, Kentucky, somewhere in between there. I think that's when you just develop getting sick. It just happens. It's just I hate that. So they said Marlon Humphrey after the Bear game said like Lamar. They didn't even Lamar was cuddled up in the ball. He didn't even know the plane had touched ground. I'm like, well, why is he even with the team? He should be home resting or back at the hotel. But I get it. The Cleveland Browns. Baker Mayfield's been hurt. The whole Odell fiasco, injuries, COVID. Looking at their running offense, Kareem Hunt came off IR and Jack Conklin came off IR. So we will see. Both teams are above 500. The things I'm looking for into this game, I want to see how both quarterbacks are going to come out. Now, Lamar Jackson said he's good to go. He feels better. Still, we'll see what happens. Baker Mayfield, let's see what he looks like. He said he's good to go. Me personally, coming out and making all the statements after the Lions game, that says a lot. Myles Garrett, we got to neutralize him. Myles Garrett is actually on pace to get the single season sack record as a Cleveland Brown, so that should be interesting. Alejandro Villanueva was going to have his work cut out for him. Lamar Jackson coming into this season has been sacked 28 times. And if I may step on the soapbox for just 1 second, this is exactly why I am a strong advocate of, by position for each player, there needs to be a cap of money. I am not fond of giving someone like Patrick Mahomes, for example, $500 million, and I'm sacrificing one half of the football. Like when I look at what Lamar Jackson needs, they're going to have to address the offensive line. Who would know? I would never think trading Orlando Brown Jr. You would see a multitude of problems. A left tackle who's way past his prime. God bless him. Alejandro Villanueva. Kevin Zeitler is really more of a running guard. Bradley Bozeman still, I think, adjusting the center. They have to really adjust this offensive line. And I just feel like those are things that you just can't ignore if you're trying to, one, protect your investment, And on top of that, cut down on the sacks. There's no way my quarterback should be sacked going into the season almost 30 times. So that's going to be interesting to see. Now, Baker Mayfield against the Lions, he did suffer a groin injury. So I'm kind of curious to see how he'll look in this game. I don't think he should be out there. I don't. Fun fact, since the October, Baker Mayfield hasn't thrown for over 300 yards, which is interesting. But that's neither here nor there. Cleveland's running off game. Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt are just a dynamic 1-2 combo. Since Baker Mayfield's disappearing act, Nick Chubb has on a whole nother level. The last 2 games, he's rushed over combined 267 yards and 2 touchdowns. He had COVID and had an ankle injury. And ironically, according to NFL.com, he was third in the AFC in terms of running. I think it's like 850 yards. And that should be interesting. Now, we are second. Ironically, the Baltimore Ravens are second against the run, against the rush, against the running off, against the run. Excuse me. We are limiting our opponents to 70 yards, which is not bad. The only time we allowed someone to go over 100 yards, that was against the Minnesota Vikings, where Dalvin Cook went ballistic on us. And also, too, we won that game in overtime. But we will see. Me personally, I just don't know what to expect coming in this game. I think it's going to be I think it's going to be an interesting matchup. Lamar's coming off an illness. I don't know what Baker Mayfield's going to look like. Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb, Hollywood Brown, I'm hoping is back. We actually just lost to Darius Washington for the season. He broke his foot. Another injury. This is another thing that we're going to have to talk about as a league. These injuries, and we're not even we have 5 more weeks. Like, that just makes absolutely no sense. But I think the Baltimore Ravens are going to beat the Cleveland Browns Sunday night. I'm looking along the lines of 28-14.
Guaranteed.
Washington football team. This is a Monday night football game. We play the Seattle Seahawks, and should be an interesting game. Unfortunately, Seattle's 3-7. They're last in the NFC West, unfortunately. And then the Washington football team, we're 4-6. The Seattle Seahawks, when they played the Arizona Cardinals, I saw the highlights. They made Colt McCoy look like the second coming of Peyton Manning out there. Colt McCoy had 328 yards for 2 touchdowns. Russell Wilson in that game, they looked lost. I know this last couple of games, I watched the Seahawks. They have a really bad time of staying consistent, having consistent drives. That is a glaring issue I've noticed with the Seahawks. They only converted 2 out of 10 third downs against the Cardinals. And on top of that, I'm looking at their defense as well. They are allowing guys, their teams that they face so far, almost 36 minutes of holding the ball more than they are. That can't happen. And, you know, Washington, too, you know, we're coming off of, I think, a big win against the Carolina Panthers. You know, got to give Taylor Heineke some love. AG had 95 yards in that game. Heineke, I didn't say, I finished my statement. Heineke had 3 touchdowns. Defensively, without Montez Sweat and Chase Young, we contained CMC, Christian McCaffrey, to 59 yards. The biggest thing I'm looking coming into this game, I want to look at Seattle's offense. I just think, and this is just my personal opinion, I think Russell Wilson was rushed back from his injury. But I also too think the relationship with Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks are done. I really think that's what I'm noticing. It just, as an offense, in the last 2 games, they've only managed to score 1 touchdown. And I mean, Pete Carroll, I just don't know where his head's at. I mean, there's no consistency. There's no consistency moving the ball, and Pete Carroll can, you know, he can blah 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 blah. This is what we need to do. We got to do this X, Y, and Z. But at this point, your team's not you're not going to make the playoffs. You know, you can't hide the fact that Chris Carson's out with a neck injury. Alex Collins, who former Raven, he's decent, but he's not a reliable piece. He's not a guy that I could rely on to put the team on his back. I can't see that. Rashard Penny, I didn't see it. I don't want to go as far as saying he's a bust. Excuse me. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. I apologize. Hendrix, what's going on, bro? Good to see you. Something you guys got to carry. The show must go on. Having some internet difficulties. I apologize. As I was saying, with the Washington football team, biggest thing is with Seattle, I just got to see what they look like offensively. Russell Wilson can't do it by himself, and I think there's this expectation that he has to do it himself, and I just don't think it's going to work that way. Washington coming into this game, I think they have a great opportunity to take advantage of a Seattle Seahawks team that's not playing well. I do. Particularly offensively, Antonio Gibson's having a great game. Taylor Heineke, let's give him some credit. Okay. And I'm seeing good things so far with the Washington football team. And, particularly against Atlanta, Tampa Bay, on third downs, we won 11 of 19, and then we held the ball well over 30, almost 40 minutes in that game. So that's the key that I'm looking for in this game against Seattle. Now, I'm going to look at Seattle's defense because I definitely think there's going to be I want to see how they're going to respond to Seattle after losing to Colt McCoy and the Arizona Cardinals. I just think coming in, I think the Seahawks, they're going to have to figure it out. They're just going to go through the motions. Washington, I think, just got to keep the balanced offense going. I think if we could take advantage of Seattle's defense and they're 30th against the pass, I think that the Washington football team will upset the Seattle Seahawks 31-14.
Guaranteed.
I think it's possible. I definitely think it's possible that they can upset the Seattle Seahawks. I apologize again. I am broadcasting from my phone because my laptop wants to act very stupid all of a sudden. So technology at its finest. We're going to transition into NFL Week 12 picks. Let's see. We got the Steelers versus the Bengals. I think that I'm looking at the Steelers. I think they'll get the win over Cincinnati. I'm looking along the score line of 28-24. The Panthers go to the 305, play the Miami Dolphins. I think that should be a good game. Cam Newton, I know, is going to come back off. He's going to look for some vengeance after losing to the football team. I think Cam Newton and the Carolina Panthers are going to upset the Miami Dolphins.
Guaranteed.
I'm looking along the line of the score of 31-17. The Eagles play the New York Giants. The Philadelphia Eagles are going to upset the New York Giants 41-10.
Guaranteed.
The Giants suck. I'm sorry. The New England Patriots versus the Tennessee Titans. A.J. Brown's been placed on the IR for at least 3 weeks. He's dealing with a hand, chest, and rib injury, I believe it was. So he's on the IR. They waived Adrian Peterson. the New England Patriots will win 30-21. The Atlanta Falcons are going to beat the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Guaranteed.
The Atlanta Falcons have to win that game. Carson Wentz versus the Buccaneers. The Colts, excuse me. Carson Wentz and the Indianapolis Colts versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Buccaneers are coming off a dominating win against the New York Giants. I think that my back on? Please tell me I'm back on. The Buccaneers will defeat the Indianapolis Colts. I think it's going to be a close one, 28-27. Ooh. The Houston Texans will upset the New York Jets.
Guaranteed.
The Houston Texans are coming off a surprise win against the Tennessee Titans.
Relationship with your
Oh
children.
my God.
The Los Angeles Chargers versus the Denver Broncos. The Los Angeles Chargers, I'm looking along the line of scores of 28-21. The San Francisco 49ers play the Minnesota Vikings. That should be a good game. I like San Francisco's defense. Minnesota, too, they're coming off a big win against the Green Bay Packers. I'm going to say the San Francisco 49ers. I think the San Francisco 49ers are going to surprise Kirk Cousins and the Vikings. The Los Angeles Rams versus the Green Bay Packers. This actually should be a good game, honestly, to be truthful with you. Aaron Rodgers is playing through a toe injury. He actually showed his toe or whatever the injury was. Very, very weird to me. I'm sorry. And the Rams are coming off a bye week. This is going to be the upset. I think the Los Angeles Rams are going to upset discount double check Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers 41-37.
Guaranteed.
It's kind of hard to navigate the banners and stuff with your phone. So, again, I do apologize for that, ladies and gentlemen. So that's week 12 of football. So we're going to transition into the NBA with the Washington Wizards. We got a big win tonight over the Dallas Mavericks. The final score 120-114. A couple of things I took away from this game, y'all, was, again, even though Dallas is coming off a big overtime win against Los Angeles Clippers, which was actually pretty good game if I do say so myself. The Wizards are coming off a good game against the Oklahoma City Thunder, where they beat the Thunder by 3. Washington, we matched their energy. Okay, I thought that was key. For the most night, Dallas could not match Daniel Gafford. Luka, I could tell, was playing through an injury. He had 33 points in this game. Even though he had a double-double, some of them were sloppy passes, sloppy assists, I would say. And also, too, he turned the ball over a couple times. Kristaps Porzingis, who's been having a good year so far, I think you just give a guy time, and I think if you use him the right way, I think good things will happen, in my opinion. Trey Burke, former Wizard, stepped in. I think Jalen Brunson, if I remember looking at the game injury report, he was out. He did well. But for the Wizards, I think we did all the right things. We just matched their energy, made shots, and I think it starts with our defense. I think if we set the tone early, I think it's a good day, any day for the Wizards. I'm also going to recap the game against the Thunder. The final score was 1. I'm sorry, we won by 2, not 3. I apologize. That was a much needed win, particularly after getting damn near 30 balled by the Pelicans. Kyle Kuzma really saved us. He won the game for us on the putback, offensive rebound. Daniel Gafford had some nice blocks. I think he ended up having like 4 blocks, particularly like in the first 12 minutes. He's been looking really, really good. I thought probably the best block of the game, where it was, I think it was, his name's Darius Brazili, and he drove left, and Gafford got the block. But fun fact, Gafford in the last 7 games has 1 block. So also to a guy I told you guys, like Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, he came through in this game. I thought that was key for Washington. And again, the 3-point shooting. I told you, if Washington gets the 3-point shooting down, y'all, okay, if they get that pack down, they're going to win games. I cannot stress that enough. Particularly, I thought I'd like, okay, here we go in the first quarter, not making shots. And when it was all said and done, KCP was 4-7 from 3. Bradley Beal had 20 points. Dinwiddie had 10 points and also made 2 threes. Kuzma, Denny, I can't never Avdija, all made threes. I think that's the key. But again, I think what Wes Unseld Jr. is trying to instill with this offense is the 3 and D, and I think it starts with our defense. But I noticed tonight and against the Thunder, defensively, we look good. So I'm really proud of what we're looking like so far. Now, I can't think of who we play off the top of my head, but we're going to transition into NBA news. LeBron James was fined $15,000 for a interesting gesture against the Indiana Pacers. Also in that game, a couple fans were ejected for heckling LeBron. Some things were said that, according to what was said and what was heard, I guess there were a couple saying that hoping that LeBron James's son Bronny dies in a car accident. What really bothers me, and again, I'm going to step on my soapbox, okay? What I don't understand and what I don't like is, why do we have this tendency to pay our hard-earned money? And what we're going to do is we're going to heckle fans. We're going to heckle these players. I don't care. Like, at this point, we got to stop using COVID as an excuse for a lot of these situations. People like that know what they're doing. They have an agenda. They think that kind of stuff is going to get under a person's skin. Listen, I'm all for you saying I'm trash, heckling me. I'm all for that. But what I don't like is, why do you get personal and talk about an athlete's family, his or her family? That I don't understand. Like, have some respect. Like, you pay all that hard-earned money to turn around and go, well, I'm going to heckle LeBron James and make a comment like that and think like I won't get away with that. And think I'll get away with it and not think about the consequences. So most likely those two got a letter banning them probably for the lifetime ban of not coming to the arena. I'd be surprised if it's just for the season, but I hope it's a lifetime ban away from the arena. Like, ladies and gentlemen, like, these behaviors, like, we've seen this before COVID, and I just don't understand, like, what do you gain from it? Like, anything, if I got front row seats, man, I'm watching LeBron, I'm watching Carmelo Anthony, Russell Westbrook, LeBron. I'm watching these guys play, and I'm just going to take the opportunity. Hey, you know what? Let's heckle LeBron. Let's get personal. Let's say his son's going. That's not cool. That's just not cool. It really isn't. What else happened? LiAngelo Ball's still in the G League. His dad, LeVar Ball, came out and he's not happy with it, but it's all a process. I think he'll be called up on a game sometime soon. The biggest thing I took away from it, from the news, John Wall. John Wall said he wants to be back on the court at some point. John Wall's been sitting out because he's hoped to find he wants to be traded. He doesn't want to be with Houston Rockets. And from what I've understood, the Houston Rockets haven't found a partner that will take on that contract. I don't understand, why would you set out games and knowing, like, what bothers me is I feel like if you're not injured, and I love and I'm a fan of John Wall, but if I know that you're injured and you can't, and if you're not injured and you can play, you should be out there. Plain and simple. You shouldn't be sitting on the bench and hoping you get traded, because that's a big contract. And that's another thing I think that's going to be coming to the table about in the 3 years when the CBA is up, that the Players Association, is these contracts. I think these contracts are just way too big for certain teams. And John Wall, I'm glad he's back. He's going to go back on the floor because I think he can definitely bring some veteran leadership, and I think he can make some things going. Now, also too, they talked about how Steven Silas's job is up for grabs. I don't like that. The guy just got the job last year, and already, his job's in jeopardy. Like, that's just not cool. That's absolutely not cool. We're going to transition in the Major League Baseball. A couple things. It's the off-season free agency. A couple things. Adam Frazier was traded to the from San Diego to the Seattle Mariners. Eduardo Escobar was signed on a 2-year deal to the New York Mets. The Mets owner was very mad that Steven Matz did not take the offer that he offered him. As I said in the last video, he wanted to be closer to home. I don't know where Carlos Correa is going to go. He'll probably stay in Houston. I doubt if it's Detroit. I don't know where Corey Seager is going to go. Trevor Story is going to go. The Blue Jays signed Yimi Garcia. Mark Canha also signed with the Mets as well. Sterling Marte signed a 4-year deal, $78 million with the Mets. Not enough. The Astros, they got Hector Neris from Philadelphia on a 2-year deal. Nick Castellanos, from what I understand, the Marlins have interest in him. So far, so good. These guys are trying to get signed now before this lockout, which is looking like it's going to happen, sadly enough. We're going to transition to Maryland football. You know, I'm really proud of these boys. I don't know what to say. The final score, we beat Rutgers 40-16. See this? University of Maryland, stand up. Stand up. We're bowl eligible, baby. Y'all see this? Y'all can't see that. It's probably small on the screen. But we did it. Much needed win. I wish it will. Can I? No, I can't do it. Never mind. I'm gonna see if I can play the clip. If I can, hold on. No, I can't play the clip. I'm sorry, because I'm on my phone. I thought I could play the clip. Oh well, I'll play it in the next one. But let's talk about the game. This was a much needed. This was a nice win. Tyron Fleet Davis rushed for 152 yards in this game, 2 touchdowns. Davis is one of 25 seniors, and I think he was actually a part of the team that had Jordan McNair, if I want to say that correctly. And then also too, DJ Durkin and all the, the locker room, the culture was toxic and different things like that. And, quarterback change, the amount of quarterback changes Maryland's had, injuries, and then on top of that, we're still kind of babies in the Big Ten. You got to give these guys some love. You got to give them props. Right now, 6-6 overall. We're 3-6 in the Big Ten. We were up 10 going into the fourth quarter, and then I'm like, okay, we got this. I got to give some love to Tolia Tungavaloa. I got to give him some love. We've been hard on him a little bit. He definitely has been breaking records from the University of Maryland. Last week, he broke, the single season completion record. And then he's also broken the single season passing yard record and having 4 touchdowns. This was his 7th game where he's thrown over 300 yards. He's actually tied the Big Ten record, conference record. And then again, I still, Maryland's special teams is very.
Relationship with your
Oh
children.
my God.
That's the best way I can describe Maryland's special teams. The extra point was blocked, and then they ran for 85 yards and a 2-point conversion. I really definitely Maryland's defense gotta give them some love. We held the Scarlet Knights 2 of 11 on third down. They went for 4th down 4 times, and we contained it. Give their defense. I got to give Maryland's defense a lot of love there. I just can't. I can't say enough. I got to give Coach Loxley some love. He's definitely building a great program here with Maryland. I know Maryland. We haven't seen a bowl game since 2016, and I'm just proud of these guys and what they've had to overcome these last couple years. And Maryland, I'm telling you, Maryland, Towson, these football programs are on the rise. Let's go. So we're both eligible. I don't know what's going to happen come January, but I'm hoping that the University of Maryland will get a bowl game, in which they will do.
Guaranteed.
Okay. Let's transition into Maryland basketball. It's not really been looking good. The Lady Terps. Okay. We're currently we are now on a 2-game losing streak. We lost today against Stanford. Final score 86-67.
Relationship with your
Oh
children.
my God.
In defense of the Lady Terps, we're dealing with we only have 6 healthy girls out there. Haley Jones she's coming off an ankle injury. She had 15 points. She had a double-double, but it's not enough. We had 7 players dressed. Ashley Owansu, she had 3 fouls in the second quarter. And then excuse me, let me revert. She picked up her 3rd foul in the second quarter on an offensive foul and then got a technical. And then with like 2 minutes and 56 seconds, something like that. That rest of the half, Maryland didn't score. I think at one point, who was it? When I say it was Brink, like she just wasn't. I don't even know why she was even dressed to play. She threw. I think from what I understood, she threw up. No, that was Stanford. I'm sorry. On ones who had 29 points, she led the team in points. The second half just didn't look good. It really didn't. The last time we saw Stanford was 2008, and they beat us 98-87. Look, okay. We're 0-2 in this tournament. Stanford beat number 4 Indiana and us, but lost to South Florida. Maryland again. I'm not going to go off. I'm not going to judge Maryland on these 2 losses because they're missing key players. Well, once these girls get healthy and stuff, then I think it's fair. But we just did not have enough firepower to beat not only Stanford but NC State. We didn't have Katie Benzina. She's sick. Faith Macionis, she's sick. Diamond Miller, she has a knee injury. She suffered against Baylor. And then Ashton Penstel, she's out. She's sick too. So it's like once these girls come back healthy, I think that's fair to say. But listen, we got the Big Ten ACC Challenge Thursday. We play the University of Miami. The Lady Terps will defeat the University of Miami.
Guaranteed.
Now, as far as the men go, we lost by 8 to the University of Louisville. The Louisville Cardinals are a good little basketball program. I love their physicality and their defense. Even though these first 4 games, I haven't seen that. But against the University of Maryland, they did just that. I cannot stress enough that the first half looked pretty okay. Look, all right. It was 30-27 going into halftime. Both teams had turned the ball over 17 times and made 20 shots combined. Eric Ayala, Hakeem Hart, who is, I think, Maryland's go-to players, were absolutely nowhere to be found.
Bullshit.
Ayala, who's dropped 20 points against Richmond, and then also to Hart, he had 24. They got clamped in this game. They really did. And that brings me to my next point. Again, I'm looking at Maryland. We got out rebounded. They out rebounded us 29-12, and that was on both ends of the floor, ladies and gentlemen, offensively and defensively. Louisville struggled to make shots too, and we didn't take advantage of that. Maryland, I cannot stress this enough, and I think this is going to hurt the men. Offensively, they just aren't. They're just not gelling. There's just no continuity. Like, I'm looking at the stat line here. Like, when you have only two players, like, two of our boys were in double figures, 38% from the field, 29% from three. Like, there's just no identity that the University of Maryland has. Like, we should be pushing the like I've seen, like, we push the ball and it just looks like and it just looks like we look like sometimes a deer in headlights. Like, I just don't get it. Like, there's just no consistency, there's no continuity. And then over again, like, Maryland shot is going to continue to shoot itself in the foot. Going into halftime, we are trailing, and I just don't understand what it is. I really don't. Now that the University of Maryland, they play Virginia Tech. I think, again, making shots, y'all, making shots. If they make shots, defense, control the pace of the game. Those are things we're going to be looking for against Virginia Tech. I think that they're going to win. My only concern is, what is the identity? What is our offense? Where are we building our offense on? Because right now, I'm looking at Maryland, and they're not looking like a team that can go to the March Madness. They're not looking like a March Madness team right now. They're just not. Let's transition in the Towson Basketball, and then we're going to wrap it up for the night. So let me give my congratulations to the fellas. We beat the University of Mexico 53. We did lose, unfortunately, on Thanksgiving Day. Final score was 71-61. So it was actually a good little invitation to go to Las Vegas. They come back. We play LIU Thursday. We got Kent State after that, Ohio State, Coppin State, University of North Carolina at Greensboro, Navy, James Madison, Drexel, Delaware, Northeastern, Hofstra, Elon, William & Mary. Interesting games. My eyes going to be on that Ohio State game. That Coppin State game is going to be an easy W for Towson. The women, let me give the women some love as well. They're looking really good. They're now 5-1 going on the year. We beat the University of Howard University. I apologize. 96-52. We got tomorrow. We play the Delaware State University Hornets. It's a home game. I think the University of Towson ladies will upset Delaware State University.
Garen! teased.
So far so good. I gotta give. Hold on, really quick. Let me show off my Towson pride too. As a Towson Tiger, I gotta show y'all love. Show love too. I gotta show both of you all rep the University of Maryland system. Much love to y'all. Really proud of these teams. Looking really good. Just a couple cracks, but I think there's nothing that we can't fix. I'm sure it will be. But with that being said, I do apologize again. Sometimes you just got to go with the flow, technical difficulties. As always, if you like the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. You comment below your college basketball team, college football team, the University of Alabama. I don't want to talk about it. Oh, Auburn, why? You really could have turned tides tonight. You could have made history. What was a great Iron Bowl? Went 3 overtimes. Good game. Congratulations to Nick Saban and the Alabama Roll Tide. Really quick, I want to talk about that, and then we're going to end it. I think it's distasteful that a coach has to come out and defend his team because of the way fans have this certain expectation that your team has to be playing at a high level. It's not easy to maintain success, and Nick Saban was right on the money to call those fans out. I do think that you do have entitled sport. There are entitled fan bases, whether it's pro, college, does not matter. I do think you have that. And, there are certain teams after a while that, like at some point they're going to come down that roller coaster. When you look at, for example, with women's basketball, we look at the University of Connecticut. They're not the same team. They're not the same team 5 years ago. I'm looking at South Carolina, University of Maryland, Stanford, NC State. Those schools, those schools are coming. And I just think after a while, I think when you have been spoiled with greatness, and for example, another example, look at the New England Patriots with Tom Brady being there for 20 years. And when he leaves, oh my gosh, this is the end of the world. How could this happen? And I think sometimes when you're spoiled by success, sometimes you have to be prepared for moments like this. So he was right to defend his team and really tell some of these fans off. Who are you to sit there and tell us that, we need to be better? Look, every season's trying. You got teams that play you tougher. You're playing with that target on your back. And if this is just me, but if my son if I want him to play football, I would want him to play for a guy like Nick Saban. If I had a daughter, I would want her to play for a coach like Don Stanley. I would want her to do that. I would want my kids to play for. They're both great coaches, and they're well mannered and they carry themselves differently. There's other coaches too. But I just felt like what he said was right on the money. So, with that being said, that's going to conclude episode 18. Again, I do apologize, technical difficulties. If you like the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, comment. You let me know your college team, how they're doing, college basketball team, NFL team, topics you want me to discuss in future podcasts. I don't know when season 5 will start, but I know you will see a new intro because, again, a lot of people are like, can you please change up the intro? Charles Barkley is kind of getting annoying and it's kind of starting to get stale. So we're going to change it up. But with that being said, we're going to go ahead and sign out. Peace. Y'all have a good night. Y'all stay up.
First of all, listen, it's interesting about all these young guys today. They never call on us and say, hey, thanks for the kind word and telling me how great a player I am. But when they play like crap and we call them out, we don't know what we're talking about. Listen, I'm easy to find. But listen, I'm going to criticize guys that they deserve it. And listen, they can kiss my ass if they don't like it.